Hello and welcome to Gallifreyan Gatherings. This is episode 4, I believe. We're talking about the episode Dot and Bubble. My name is Scott. I am a classic Doctor Who fan. I've watched modern Doctor Who. I've also been reading a lot of the novels. Josh.
Huh?
Who are you?
I'm Josh.
He's half.
I'm new Who.
He's also 6, so
Be great. And I'm Alex. I'm watching these for the very first time. I am not an old Who fan. I'm going through this for the very first time.
And we have a special guest today. Michelle, tell us about yourself and your Doctor Who fandom.
So I came in on New Who, and then I met Scott. Was dressed as the Doctor the first time I met him, the first Doctor. So Scott as an old man. We watched some of the older episodes together, and we just haven't gotten enough time to sit down and rewatch the whole. So, kind of a mix of both here.
All right. So today, again, we are talking about Dot and Bubble, an episode, obviously,
Toil and trouble.
about the dangers of social media and racism. So we start off. Lindy wakes up with Dot in hand, calls out Dot and Bubble, which puts a social media bubble over her head. She talks to her friends, and we find that Jimbo is offline. She hasn't heard from Jimbo. That's a name that Russell T Davies loves to use over and over.
I was going to say, it's such a dumb name.
He actually used it most recently in Wild Blue Yonder with that robot that was walking down. I don't remember much of that episode.
Sorry,
Anyway.
Russell T Davies. It sounds like a placeholder name that you would use until you found a better name that you could use.
He couldn't write anything better.
I do like his writing, don't like the names.
So we get Gothic Paul, and he lets us know that Mabel and Nev are missing.
Nobody gives a fuck.
And she gets instructions on how to get up and walk from her Dot. We also, there's Gothic Paul.
That's not his real name, though.
He's also not even Gothic. He's neo-Gothic.
Gets told how to walk. We get Dr. P.
Dr. P.
I didn't
He's
catch that his
MVP
name was
of this.
Dr.
We didn't notice until the credits. We didn't
Yeah.
notice either.
That's hilarious.
Because we were looking at the credits to see who one other person was, and Scott was like, oh, Dr. P.
We also get the introduction of Ricky September, some social media influencer that dances to songs. That's all he does. All right.
I'm just saying his name would have been better if it was Ricky Spanish.
I'm there the whole time thinking
Ricky
Spanish.
Spanish. So the doctor gives her a call in her bubble and says, "You're in danger." And
Get out of my bubble.
Immediately blocks him. And she dances to Itsy Bitsy Teeny Weeny Yellow Polka Dot Bikini.
Hold on. Before we move on, remember, she looks at the doctor, immediately blocks him. You can go ahead and move on.
But
Was that how
also,
it went down? I thought he actually said something to her.
Yeah, he started to just like immediately just start spitting out, "Oh my God, you're in danger."
That is true.
That is true. The camera does pan out to reveal a small bit of the monster. And then we get the intro. I didn't have a screenshot for that.
Yeah, it's just one of his little tentacle like mouth fingers.
Yeah. One thing I will say, I did watch the behind the scenes, and those slugs were mostly practical effects with some CGI layered on top.
They reminded me of the Fingies monsters in Sons of the Forest.
Yeah.
I can see where you got that.
So we cut to Fine Time, a city which is enclosed in a bubble. There's no social commentary about that at all.
No, this is like, if you didn't catch the commentary, Russell T Davies is going to beat you over the head with it.
Yeah, he does that.
Jesus Christ.
We get the news anchor giving an update to the citizens, pan down to show the people all walking around in bubbles.
What is that statue?
It's a statue of a bubble.
It's literally a
it?
bubble.
It's a penis.
It almost looks like a person holding the bubble, but I don't know.
I think it's what it's supposed to be.
Oh,
Like an
good.
Atlas thing.
Who knows with modern art?
Yeah, you're lucky to get even this.
So Lindy keeps talking to her friends as she walks toward her job, walking right around
Yeah.
someone who has obviously been attacked and is getting pulled away by an off-screen monster.
Yeah, that guy's
Yeah.
been murked hard.
I'm
Yeah,
guessing they're
green blood.
Vulcans. They have green blood.
Yeah, they're not as
Yeah, that's
smart as
weird.
Vulcans, though.
Yeah. So Lindy arrives at work.
Lots
Still
of
talking with
circular
her friends.
architecture.
Yeah, a lot of it. I'm wondering why
And
she
beating
had
you over the
furniture
head.
and stuff in her apartment if she's always in her bubble. Like, she's not going to enjoy any of that.
It's one of those things where rich people
Yes,
have things to have them. They don't have to enjoy them. The enjoyment is in owning.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I think it
literally
was
a-
supposed to be their class thing.
I mean, literally a symbol of wealth is having things that are impractical.
Correct. Like
True.
chairs you don't sit in, tables you don't sit at, and things like that.
So Ruby is at work talking with her friends about how boring her job is.
That's
You
not
mean
Ruby.
Lindy?
Yeah, Lindy. Sorry. Looking at a further line. And Zachary is now missing. Ruby calls Lindy under the guise of Fine Time Enterprises doing a system check. And Ruby asks what Lindy's doing. Lindy calls Ruby stupid and continues to insult her while Ruby asks her questions. We find out that they work 2 long hours a day
Oh yeah.
in an office of 6.
And that's
It's-
oh, never mind.
Lindy, Danny,
How do they do any work? Like, I guess the work is imported into their bubble. So why do you have to go to work? Like,
Oh, but
whole-
they explain that later, actually.
No.
That's how they recharge.
oh,
Yes.
yeah.
Yes,
yeah, they gotta
because
put their hands on the Discord.
so they're not
symbol.
I don't feel like they're actually doing any work. I think it's just an excuse to get them recharge for whatever
why
reason.
not give them chargers at home?
I don't
Then they won't go to work.
Why do they need to go to work?
To touch the Discord symbol that is very clearly a Discord symbol on the
You didn't have
table.
eyes, Josh. I'm just saying the logic here is very circular and not
Uh,
there were
worthwhile.
Just
things
like the
that
architectural.
weren't explained that I did not enjoy, but overall
They were
as a
like
whole, I
they
liked
they
it.
claim that they do like data entry.
data
Something like
processing.
that. Data processing. Something I will say
Okay.
about Russell T. Davies is he heard the people complaining that Doctor Who was too woke and too political, and I think he's overcompensating for it.
Scott, are you wearing a turtleneck?
The
Wearing a
scarf.
scarf.
Oh, I could only see one color. My bad.
It's
So
just a-
what do you mean he's overcorrecting? Like he's
So-
pulling back from the wokeness, or he's leaning
no,
into it?
he's
Leaning
he
in
is
hard.
yeah, leaning in very hard to it, and he's beating us over the head with it.
Yeah,
And-
it's, like I honestly think that it's so blatant in this episode to be trite. Like it's very like this is surface level shit in my opinion. Like none
think-
of this was of interest really.
I think he's
have
doing
the
it.
opposite. Oh, go ahead.
I think he's doing it because people complained that the 13th Doctor was so super woke, despite it being the least political era of Doctor Who pretty much in its entirety.
Minus Rosa Parks.
Well, I mean, people don't actually know what the fuck they're talking about. Like
This
Star
is
Wars has
correct.
never been political.
Oh, yeah.
Either. You know.
Yes, yes, and all of our rock stars should look like men, just like they used to back in the 80s.
That's
I
right.
mean, Twisted Sisters.
Yes. Yes.
So Ruby asks if her coworkers are at their desks and asks Lindy to check if they're there. Lindy doesn't want to lower her bubble to check on them and hangs up on Ruby. Gothic Paul cuts back in and says that Olive, Kipper, and Alana are also now missing. Ruby calls back and asks her again to look around.
Yeah, what were the names? Like I got taken out of this episode so many times by the names.
It's Lindy Pepperbean, Danny J, Vista J, Molly Champion, Sandy Brooke, Birdie Lester. There's someone with the last name
Oh.
of Bookkeeper at one point.
How
Yeah,
the fuck do you remember all that?
I have them written down.
I was gonna say he's got it
Oh.
written down.
I have notes. So, Lindy looks around, doesn't see anyone at their desks, asks where they are. Ruby
Can I
asks
make
if...
a comment on the name thing?
Yes.
I think it might be something akin to celebrities and famous people naming their things like, or their children things like Apple, blanket, etc. It's
Or
rich people.
whatever the
Just
fuck Elon named his kid.
yeah, it's the
Oh, XI
luxury of
Archangel?
No, they renamed her.
What?
Yeah, they got a normal name now.
they have the luxury of picking whatever name they want because they're not worried about the judgment because that's right.
Mm. If you're poor, you can't risk being judged.
I mean, you get judged for everything else.
That's right.
Ruby asks Lindy to look to her right to see if Birdie's there, and Lindy sees the monster through her bubble.
Kind of
No?
surprised that she even
It's
has
okay. It's
that
just a
she even
mirror.
has the ability to turn her head without like
Be-
detailed
Instruction.
instruction.
Speaking of mirrors, this episode felt very Black Mirror.
Yes.
Black Mirror did this like so much better.
Yeah, that's what I've heard.
That episode was amazing and it is my favorite, but
I've never watched Black Mirror.
Well,
I've got some episodes for you off
Okay.
camera.
episode 1,
I
the
just
best
don't want
one.
I don't need my brain broken all the time.
Do you like pigs? And do you like presidents?
What?
That's all I'm gonna say.
off stream, man. Gotta be off stream.
What is happening?
th-
Let's
well,
continue.
Yeah, I should start a Black Mirror podcast. Anyway. So, Lindy does eventually turn off her dot and bubble and looks at the slug creature eating one of her coworkers.
I don't know. It
And
looks comfy in there.
she immediately turns her dot and bubble back on, and
This is
Dr.
my
P cuts
favorite
in and
part.
says, "Your need to urinate has skyrocketed."
I swear this guy has a name like an Austin Powers villain.
Yes.
Which
He loves
yeah,
gold.
this got a laugh out of me.
In
So
showers.
her friends call her, Dr. and Ruby call her. She turns to Ricky September. Oh, her friends call her. She turns to Ricky September. Ruby cuts in, tells her the doctor can deal with it, brings the doctor in. Lindy is now very upset. Doctor tells her to walk out without the bubble since the dot system cannot see the monsters. So Lindy turns off the dot and bubble, stands up from her desk, turns and sees the creature and attempts to walk out of the office and can't because she doesn't have the bubble guiding her.
The bubble
So-
doesn't. The bubble doesn't tell her how to stand, though. That's what I don't understand. I guess she could have just wandered around aimlessly. I felt that would have been more believable.
Yeah, I get the message that he was trying to put in here, but
This was again surface level trite.
too much. Yeah. So
Dude,
Slug doesn't
like,
notice
take
her.
some writing courses or something. I don't know what to tell you. This is shit.
Yeah.
Slug doesn't notice her. She turns the bubble back on and it guides her out.
Still loving
And
the bubble architecture.
so she goes to the elevator. A slug's in the elevator. The Ruby and Doctor try to guide her away from it. She backs up slightly and the slug goes around her. Doctor doesn't understand why they're letting her go.
I just don't understand
Is
that
it
she
your
has
freedom?
no instincts just to even flinch without this.
Yeah, it literally like took away her self-preservation instincts. Which
Yeah.
again, I get the message being sent, but this was like belabored.
Yeah, just keep hitting it over the head.
Bing, bing, bing.
But we'll see later. Like, it takes one lesson, and then she's like, I can run a fucking marathon.
Yeah, I noted that here in my notes too.
Ugh.
I didn't
It's a
hate the
lot.
episode. I
What's
thought
happening?
it was. What?
Sorry.
I thought the episode was fine. It wasn't my favorite episode by any means, but I didn't dislike it.
I like the episode.
I'm a little bit ambivalent about it, honestly. I don't dislike it, but like I think there was more to complain about than praise.
Well, wait till we get past the season and we start getting into the best ofs and worst ofs. I think that's going to be fun.
I will say
Oh,
for
cool.
me, I enjoy this episode because it didn't take much to figure out. Sometimes I don't need to have a big long thing to stress out and try to figure out what the twist is.
Like last
And
week?
it was just kind of it was
God,
kind of
last
just
week's.
casual. And I liked that. For sure.
Yeah, in comparison to last week's was frustrating because I was like, why? What is any of this? What does any of this mean? And this time it was like, okay, I think I know more of what's going on than the writers do.
I'll be real honest, I could not tell you for $1 million what last week's episode was.
It was 73 yards with that lady that kept following Ruby.
I love that episode.
It turned out to be Ruby.
That's still my least favorite episode.
I guessed it from pretty early on.
Well played, Michelle. Well played.
Yes, yes.
So Lindy takes the elevator and tries to call the police.
There are no
Police.
Womp womp.
Police don't answer. That's just like a rich white woman to call the police.
Only usually they answer for her.
Yeah.
I'm not mad.
Apparently, there are no police officers with names that start with P or later.
I guess.
Oh, you're gonna ruin
Oh,
the
that's a good
big
point.
twist.
So,
Oh, come on.
so she leaves the elevator, and she gets asked to lower her bubble by the doctor. She complies, looks around, sees the slugs eating people and people walking around with their bubbles on, not aware of them.
Really
And-
horrible headband too, because that does not look like it would secure her hair or stay in. Sorry. That's what I kept thinking about the whole episode. No lie.
It's
Hey,
just
at least it's not one of the spiky ones from the 90s.
Dude,
It's
I
just
love
giving her
those
a hug.
so much. Like those. Actually, that slug back there looks like the banana clips from the 90s.
Oh god damn it!
It does, though. Now that you say it, I
You
can't
slap
unsee it.
that on Geordie LaForge's face, and bam, you got yourselves a visor. Slimy visor.
she turns her dot and bubble back on, goes to a hiding place.
Yeah, such a good hiding place.
Yeah, I love how she was able to go, like, navigate me to the nearest hiding place.
Inside of a slug.
She explains
God, that would've been
to the doctor and Ruby that the slugs are everywhere and how some people are getting ignored and some are getting eaten. The doctor wonders why the dot can't see them. And we get a possible explanation. They may have come from the wild woods. That's a red herring.
It is a red herring.
So
Though I
we get
will say,
our...
I hope the Wild Woods is just as dangerous as it sounds, for reasons we'll come to at the end.
We get our exposition dump of how Fine Time is people from the home world, which is not named, ages 17 to 27, if you can afford it. Lindy says, Mommy paid for it all. And she looks at a video of her mother, and here's our Susan Twist cameo of the week.
Which the characters of Ruby and the Doctor are starting to become more and more aware
Yeah.
of.
Yes.
They're like, hey, ain't this bitch familiar? Yeah.
I think you are right, Scott. I don't think this season actually happened. I think this is all like a fever dream or some kind of...
I think they're in an
We're
alternate
gonna get-
universe.
We're going to get the twist at the end that it was all a dream, and it's going to be literally like the most trite shit.
And David Tennant
Oh.
wakes up.
David
So I
Tennant's
think
never
that-
coming back to Doctor Who.
I think that Ruby's bad. I think she's like real bad. Something like that she doesn't realize. That's what my theory.
I
She's
think
a pantheon.
she's either a Pantheon god or she's Susan Foreman. Or
Foreman Grill?
Susan Twist is Susan Foreman,
Beat me
or
to it.
Mrs. Flood is Susan Foreman. One
Who
of
the
them
hell
might
is
be
Susan
the
Foreman?
Ronnie. That would be awesome. I'd like to see the Ronnie return.
What?
The Ronnie
the hell
was
is
a Time Lord who was kind of an evil scientist. She wasn't necessarily evil for the sake of being evil. She just liked experimenting on people.
Like Mora.
And she hasn't been seen since the Seventh Doctor era.
Lot of speculation online about her being the Ronnie.
Interesting. Who the hell is Susan?
Susan Foreman is the
character in the
Doctor's
middle.
granddaughter.
The character in the middle, he says.
The very first companion.
Yes.
Also, I would like to dedicate this episode to I forget his name. Why did I forget his name all of a sudden?
He's
I'm blanking.
so important.
He
And
is
it's
though.
so forgettable.
He was William
Oh.
Russell, who
Yeah,
played
he
Ian
played the
Chesterton,
companion.
who was one of the two teachers that went off with the Doctor and Susan that started the show from the very first episode. He passed away yesterday.
I was gonna say, was that what you posted?
As of this recording. And yes. So the Doctor and Ruby both recognize her, and the Doctor calls out that she was the face on the ambulance on Castarian 3 from the episode Boom. And Ruby says she's seen her elsewhere, which confirms that she has at least some unconscious memory of the events in 73 Yards.
No.
Hmm?
Doesn't it mean that she saw her in the cafeteria in the 3rd episode?
She never saw her face. Neither the Doctor or her saw the face.
Are you
And
sure? I'm pretty
positive.
sure she directly interacted with her.
They talked, but they were both facing away when she was faced forward. She turned away before they faced towards her. I remember pointing that out in the Devil's Court.
God, I love that episode so much.
Yeah. That's by far the best episode.
Yes.
I keep comparing everything else to it.
You can't do that. You have to take each of these episodes on their own. That's the way Doctor Who kind of is, because if you compare this to a Tennant episode or, a Capaldi episode, it's not going to mesh. And even episodes within the same series, or I guess season in the US terms, they range so wildly that you kind of have to take each one on their own to kind of get the feeling for what each mini arc is supposed to.
Yeah,
Not
I mean,
to
I
get-
guess it is kind of like a Monster of the Week kind of show from
Yeah.
its inception anyways.
It is, but it also has an overarching storyline that kind of ties together by the end. I will say, not to get too dragged down in the weeds. So season and series are not quite interchangeable. So the classic series was all seasons. The New Who was all series. And then this is season 1. It's weird.
Are we season again?
Yes.
She could have also remembered him from the baby episode.
God.
She didn't see that either.
She didn't see the hologram?
Mm-mm. So we get our first major racist line of the episode. I blocked you.
I thought you this undertone.
I blocked you. I thought you just looked the same.
Wait, what?
Which is what she said to the Doctor.
Yeah.
What?
Mm-hmm.
What is
Yeah,
that?
he didn't.
Okay,
I don't even remember that line. What?
Dude, out of context, that's kind of weird. Is that verbatim?
That is.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's necessarily verbatim, but those were the words used. That's how I wrote it down in quotes. So I blocked you. I thought you just looked the same.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I remember that. Yeah, I think that was trying. I read that as her trying to say, like, you looked like that other person, but
Yeah.
it did not work saying that to a black man.
But also, there are no other black people on Fine Time. They were all white.
Oh, not even a one.
So, Doctor reveals he unblocked using the sonic screwdriver. Lindy starts a priority 1 group call, mutes all of them and tells them about the slugs. Cooper Mercy and Valerie Nook are now also missing.
And looking at those faces, do we see any people of color?
Oh,
no, there were no. It was all white people. That was another one of the parts of this episode that I think went under the radar for a lot of people, was that this was also, how's the Doctor going to deal with racism? Because I know a lot of people said, how's the Doctor going to deal with racism if he goes back into the past? Well, racism's still around. It still happens. How's he going to deal with it now or in the future?
I was looking at a lot of the comments on this episode, and there were a lot of people who got the plot twist very quickly as far as the racism, who were people of color and people that are, you know, like us who are white. Um they responded like saying, "Hey, I went through the whole episode. I've watched it 2 times and I had no idea. And now I'm sitting here thinking, how many other times have I missed this in shows?"
Yep.
So she
Felt like it
explains
caught
that
on real way too fast.
Yeah.
explains people are getting eaten alive. Gothic Paul laughs at the idea and then gets eaten on camera.
Yeah. Yeah. Nom nom nom.
We get another racist line. I think he's not as stupid as he looks about the doctor.
Mm-hmm.
But she does let the doctor talk.
I'm so
And
uncomfortable.
It's supposed to make you feel uncomfortable. That's the point.
I hate these people so much. Oh my god.
you're supposed to.
I do.
So-
I actually noticed the racism before Scott did but we didn't notice it until towards the end of the episode.
Because it's not something that we have to deal with every day. That's
Yeah,
Right.
I didn't pick up
Our white
I didn't pick up
privilege.
Very
either of
lucky.
those two on my
I'll-
first watch through. So like this
If
is
he mentions it, I'll point out which part I noticed it.
Oh, I was
Um,
gonna say it was the moment she said like, "Oh, I just thought you looked the same."
Oh yeah, no, I didn't even think anything of it. I thought she was just talking about, hey, you look like that other guy before.
yeah, that's what I thought too.
I'm like, no.
So the doctor
So bad.
tells her to get to a conduit that leads to the river. He gives everyone in this group chat the location of the conduits. And Lindy's bubble battery is low, and she states that it charges up at work. They stopped her from working. So the doctor tells her where to go, and her bubble is turned off.
Someone. Okay, I have to. Please remind me to say this after we reveal the twist. Because someone called the slug things a specific name, and you guys are gonna love it.
Oh god.
So Lindy tries to instruct herself while walking and repeatedly runs into a pole.
That was my favorite part too.
She-
Watching her get her face bashed. Boom.
Then turns to
Wasn't
see
better.
several of the slug creatures in her way.
Let me
stumbles
just
between
walk
them.
directly into one.
Nearly falls into the maw of one of them. And we hear a voice.
Balance herself without the dot.
Yeah. We hear a voice telling her to turn left and take 2 steps forward. And oh yeah,
It's
there's where she almost falls into the maw.
Ricky Spanish.
It's
Scott-
Ricky September.
Scott, do you remember what age range they said that?
17 to 27.
So 17 to 27. So that's saying, are we assuming? Words, Michelle. So if they're not able to navigate without the bubble, do they have the bubble on the homeworld too? Then
Mm-hmm.
I would imagine
That
so,
that
yeah.
is insinuated later on in the episode. Yes.
okay.
Yeah.
So
Where the fuck is his waistline? Because good God, those are high-rise pants.
They are, and also I really am unsettled by his face. I don't like saying that about people, but something is weird about his face.
I think his eyes are too far apart.
he
Yes!
definitely looks older than 27. I'll just put it.
Okay,
No.
Scott hit the nail on the head right there.
So, Ricky helps her make it past the slugs. They
The
hug,
dumbest way possible.
and we find out that it's her first hug. He
Ever.
tried to warn people in his videos, but they kept getting deleted, which kind of gives us a hint that something else is amiss here.
Yeah.
Yeah, slugs don't know how to delete videos.
They
Presumably.
hold hands and walk towards the conduit.
Consent, though. Consent before you hold hands.
That's right.
He explains that he drops his songs, turns off his bubble. He stays out of it almost all the time. They see someone else getting eaten, and he promises to get her out. She says it's the best day of her life, and he's like, but thousands of people are getting eaten alive right now.
Yeah, that was pretty great.
Yeah.
First of all, fuck those people.
Hmm.
Ricky
So-
Spanish.
They enter a building towards the conduit, and she charges up her bubble. Ricky calls the homeworld, finds out that The homeworld has been decimated by the slugs.
There is no more homeworld.
Population 0. He lies and
Because
tells her...
because it would show that on this screen for some reason. I don't know.
Yeah, just a perfectly placed slug on there too.
Yeah, this was great.
You'd think a little table set would just handle everything, but you know.
Mhm. Need a lot more than that.
Ricky lies to her and says, oh, the line's busy, homeworld's coming. They
Right.
make it to the conduit, and boy, she's awfully good at walking and running, especially up and down stairs now.
I know.
Can
When
I
she
just-
comes down the stairs, I was like, she's gonna fucking fall, and she didn't, and I was upset.
Can I just say that Ricky has been the most likable fucking character so far?
Absolutely.
Oh,
And they did that for a reason, which we'll get to in a little bit.
Top Markham.
So, yeah, they make it to the conduit. She brings her bubble up to get the code from the doctor. We get some techno babble about the door and the push codes. And
He's got a classic 90s haircut right there.
and I just really did not understand how the bubble works at this point when she like turned the doctor and Ruby around to face Ricky. I'm like,
Oh, yeah.
what does any of this matter now? Like, you can
Did she-
see him now, Ruby, but you couldn't. Like, literally, it was a plot point moments earlier that you could not see outside the bubble.
I thought Ricky did it.
It doesn't matter who did it.
I feel
It
like
doesn't make any fucking sense.
I think it does in a way because she was always able to see outside the bubble.
No.
When it
Ruby
was
said that
something-
I can't see out of the bubble. I need you to turn off your dot so that you can
Oh.
tell me what's in the room. This clearly breaks that entire plot point.
it's not Doctor Who if it doesn't have plot holes somewhere.
It's like you're not listening to your own story.
This whole
You
season's been a
wrote
plot
this
hole.
in your story. It's your story. You don't have to make rules that you're not going to follow.
Well, we'll figure out what's going on with this season at the end, hopefully.
Okay.
So,
Alex
She
is gonna
asks-
get real disappointed. again.
if her friends are still alive, Ruby tells her that her friends are still alive, but at their desks. Which, weren't they dead? Or?
I
Anyway,
have no idea what any of that meant because they weren't there. They were gone.
the doctor works out that they're being eaten in alphabetical order. And
Fucking
the doctor
dumb
works
shit.
out that Lindy's next after Susie Pentecost.
Susie looks like a good time.
She just
She looks like
she
a
was
happy
new.
person.
She was new. She just needed some new follows.
Yeah.
And then she gets eaten.
Nom nom nom.
Lindy freaks
I-
out.
I hated the fucking alphabetical portion.
I know.
It makes
Yeah.
no sense.
Lindy freaks out. Ricky calms her down and tells her that they're safe. Lindy says she keeps getting lucky, and the doctor explains that the creatures must have been designed and figures out that the dot may have achieved sentience and hates the people,
I mean, we do, so that's not a far stretch.
and that the dot has somehow engineered these slugs. We don't really get an explanation of that, but
Yeah.
That's
that
fine.
pissed me off.
There's no allegory here to be had. Like, it's really disappointing. I thought there would be some sort of allegory.
how are the slugs created? Oh, I don't know.
Well, that's all right then.
No explanation at all?
Well, that's all right then.
Are you sure? Nothing?
Oh, well, that's all right then.
Anyway.
Watch that does not go through for his reporting.
That would be
No.
so funny if Scott's just mad eyeing, like mad dogging the camera.
I think
It'll
it
go.
works
in
both ways.
silence.
It'll go
I think it
through.
works.
Anyway.
We'll put it in both.
So she she tries to turn off the dot. The dot tries to kill her. Ricky tells her to do the numbers and he'll fight the dot.
I hated this portion.
He plays baseball with the dot for a while.
We
I
get
wonder what
the
it's
we get
made
the
out of.
obligatory he and blows one of his lustrous locks out of his eyes. Like,
Yep.
This
this
thing
dude was living
went
in
through
the 90s.
cast iron chains.
Oh, we'll get there. You mean
But
that?
couldn't even touch. Like, it touched her twice, and you're telling me it didn't kill her?
Man, Josh was really raring for this chick to get dead.
Oh, he's not alone.
It
So-
hit her twice and fucking nothing.
The Dot breaks a chain, drops a hook on Ricky's head, but it doesn't kill him or even knock him out for that
hook
matter.
there. What does that hook do?
Yeah, the only
Who
thing they
put this hook here?
Well, it would have been for lowering and raising
cargo.
cargo stuff, things,
Bucket.
equipment.
A
The only
cartoon
thing-
bucket?
Yes.
The only thing that scene was missing was like a whistling noise for the anchor dropping, or for the hook dropping, and then the stars and birds going around his head. That's how comical that was.
So the Dot goes for Lindy, and Lindy betrays Ricky, saying,
I was
Ricky's
over it.
surname is Coombs. He changed it when he got 50,000 followers. And
Now, before we move on to this point, because I
Dude.
know we're getting towards the end,
This made me
I
so
want
mad.
to point out that he's also complicit in that culture. He was leveraging his privilege to win followers, so that he could then unplug from the bubble and do whatever he wanted.
Oh, he's not a good guy by any
Yeah.
stretch. But I mean, this is a very easy lesser of two evils for me.
yeah,
Yeah,
he's the
I'm
best guy
actually-
on a bad world.
I'm very much voting for the
The only
anti-racist AI slug people is what people are calling.
I also hated that the Dot doesn't get aggressive until literally it's
Right here.
found out. Like
Also,
was-
It should have that in the
I was
database.
literally expecting like the Metal Gear Solid exclamation point to pop up over the fucking Dot. Like, "Ring!"
if the Dots could do that to begin with, why didn't they just kill the people in
Why?
their sleep? Why engineer a race of
not?
slugs to eat
Yes.
people alphabetically?
Because fucking piss poor fucking Disney writing
It's not
bullshit.
Disney. Disney has no control over the direction of Doctor Who.
It has everything.
Got grimy little slug fingers everywhere.
Yeah, all the Mickey fingers.
Ricky he looks very betrayed. And boom, headshot.
I was up until this very moment when she fucking betrays him. I was fine with her being hated, but like, okay, fine, let her survive and all this shit. The minute she turns like this, I'm like, oh,
So you're telling me though, it can do this to Ricky, but when it hits her in the shoulder and the leg, it didn't do any damage.
Yep.
not even a contusion.
Meow.
Lindy escapes, meets up with the other survivors, as well as Ruby and the Doctor. She tries to avoid them and meets up with Hoochie Pie. What a
Yeah,
name.
that name.
I hated Coochie Pie.
So they finally escape Comrade Slugs.
So she hugs Hoochie Pie and says, oh, I was taught that by a very wonderful man that you just murdered.
You
Oh yeah.
so hard.
Ruby asks where Ricky is, and Lindy lies, saying that he went back to save others. And Lindy learns that the homeworld and her mom are dead.
Good for you. Love that for you. Are you sure you guys wanted me on here today? Because I don't have a lot to add other than
You're fine.
I
We'll,
I haven't added
we'll do
shit.
our final thoughts here after we get through the episode, and yeah, we'll go from there.
I also hate the way that guy on the right looks.
Oh, Brewster? He says that they're going to
Brewster?
pioneer and tame the world.
You guys are gonna get eaten alive by something, and I'm so happy about.
I think he actually uses like language like ownership, like we're gonna own it or some shit like that. Like
Mhm.
just right back into colonialism.
Of course.
Yep.
Well, you did say we're gonna do it just like our ancestors.
There
Yep.
you go.
The Doctor offers to save everybody in his TARDIS, and Lindy replies, we
It
couldn't
literally
travel
can.
with you. You, sir, are not one of us.
Now this is
I-
the part.
Literally panicked when this scene started because I thought that they were gonna have her be like, "Oh
The
yeah, no,
companion.
you're the new companion." I'm like, I will not watch another fucking episode of this if I have to see this bitch again.
So this is the part where immediately I was like, "Oh, okay. So you don't want to go with him, because he's black. And Scott was like, "Oh yeah, these rich people because, you guys aren't rich." And I'm like, "No, it's because he's black." And he's like, "Holy shit,
No,
you're right."
I got it when Brewster said his other line.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, we get her also saying it was your duty to save me. They're
Mhm.
all racist to the doctor and walk away. The doctor says, "I don't care." He offers once again to save them all. God, that bitch's face.
Remember when he said he couldn't do that for the babies?
Yeah.
Josh, I hate this. I hate that.
Fuck.
The doctor says, "I don't care." He offers once again to save them. Brewster says, "Ladies, turn away before you're contaminated."
That's when
That's
Scott
where
realized.
that's where I got it.
This part also makes me really fucking upset because how long has the doctor been in down here with them, and none of them pulled a racism till now?
Look, if this were the 12th Doctor, he would have cold cocked him in the face. Just that happened once when him and Bill were on. They were back in the 1800s on the Thames during one of the Frozen parades. And some guy was being really racist to Bill, and he just goes over and punches him in the face and knocks him out.
Capaldi
It was
great.
My favorite New Who Doctor, hands down. So
I thought that this was classist up until the contaminated line.
the doctor says, "I can save your lives. Now let me." He says, "I don't care what you think. I don't care what you do. Just let me save you." They turn and walk away. Give that look.
That's a look of disgust, of disdain, of you are not worth anything. You are not worth the dirt under my shoes.
So the doctor cackles and then screams in frustration.
I love his emotions.
The citizens go away on a boat. Bye. The doctor tears up. Another shot of this doctor crying. Happening a lot. A lot.
Are you big mad about that, or like?
No, I'm not mad about it. It's a pattern. It's happened in almost every episode, or every episode. Not every episode, because he wasn't in the last episode very much. But yeah, every episode that he's been properly in. The doctor then leaves in despair.
Fuck him.
And then we get the preview of the next episode, which is the one with Jonathan Groff.
No. Then he teams up with Oppenheimer, and they blow that planet to smithereens. The end.
The doctor wouldn't use a nuclear weapon unless...
No, that's when Oppenheimer would do it.
Except for that time that he did.
Except for the time he did.
And destroyed a whole planet and committed genocide. That was fun.
Womp womp.
What? And then they came back.
The Seventh Doctor era was wild. I just want to point that out.
What?
Yeah.
We'll get to that episode at some point in November. We will get to that episode in November as part of the anniversary week. A month. It's a month, not a week.
Oh, God.
I don't know if Alex is going to be able to take it.
Oh, it's so good. So, Alex, since you are the newest to Doctor Who, what are your unadulterated thoughts on the episode?
Probably a 4 out of 10. It was fine. I agree with the concepts. I don't think it was very well executed, and the pacing of the episode was a little bit hard. I was really thinking that we were never gonna see the Doctor or Ruby in the flesh at all. I thought it was gonna be all them as side characters for this whole episode.
There have been episodes like that, so that's pretty valid.
And to be fair, the Shudigatwa has been filming for Sex Education, and that is why these 2 episodes have been Dr. Light.
Gotcha.
Okay.
It's a Netflix show.
But yeah, I mean, I would like to see other writers than Russell T Davies. I'm about tired. Like I don't know if this is the level of writing that we're gonna get, and we're not gonna get any more. Because I think Russell T Davies wrote The Devil's Court, didn't he?
I believe so. Yeah.
Yeah. Why can't we have more like that? Uh, if this is the kind of stuff that he's pumping out for the rest of the season, I don't know how much of a Doctor Who fan I'm gonna be.
Again, wait till we get to the best of and worst of, and I think you'll find things that you really enjoy. And hopefully you like some of the classic stuff too, because I really like
hope
the
so.
classic stuff.
Like,
Josh.
We're gonna give it the old college try.
Josh, what did you think of the episode?
this is the worst fucking episode for me. I have given this a 1.6 out of 10.
God, I think the last episode was so much worse than this.
No, it's fucking better somehow. Like, I'm with Alex. Like, I don't know what the hell is going on with Russell T Davies. Like, he's had phenomenal episodes in the past, but
He's still easing back into it. It's been a decade since he last wrote for this, at least. So,
and
But he
again,
showed
like,
he can do
I-
good writing.
like the concept, like he has great concept right now. It's just the execution's done poorly once again.
Yeah, and if you're letting your creative works be driven by controversy and assholes online talking about wokeness, like you're just gonna adulterate your product. You're gonna make it worse.
what I find funny is the fact that this episode was originally pitched during the transition from him to Stephen Moffat when the 11th Doctor came on, when Matt Smith came on. And they didn't do it because of budget. He's had 12 years to finalize his ideas for this episode.
Wow,
And
this looks like GPT wrote it.
Mm-hmm.
Michelle, what were your thoughts?
So I like the aesthetics of things. I like the bright colors.
Yeah, the color palette was very interesting, wasn't it?
I like the fact that they can go from, a dark episode like Boom, where everything's, in that army setting, to 73 yards where they're, out and about, to just like a pastel fucking horrible prison. Um because
Yeah,
so
I mean
many
the
so
freaking
many of
73 yards was like a really gray episode.
it really was. I like to pay attention to the different color palettes of the episodes just to see kind of where they go. See if I can pick out anything based on that. Um, I don't know, the monsters, I like them because the familiarity with Sons of the Forest, and I don't know, I like the idea of the episode in general. I wasn't a fan of some of the actors, the names, and the plot holes,
The
especially
names were crazy.
especially not knowing how the connection between the dot and the slugs. What is the connection between the dot and the slugs? I don't care
Sure.
where the slugs came from. Did they come from the forest? Did they come from, were they modically or genetically modified? For a while there, I was thinking that the slugs were put on there by like the home world and they just wanted to eat the children. Um, that would have been so cool. Parents sending their entitled rich children to a world where they just get eaten.
See, we're writing a better episode already.
I think the Doctor even says like they were created by it. By
Yeah,
the dot.
I think
But
there is
that's-
Oh,
something.
gotcha.
That's
Okay,
all
I
the
must have missed
explanation we get. Like, how? Where?
Why?
What kind of
Why-
equipment did they use for this? How?
And literally, and
Um,
literally, the
they
doctor
use
is the
snot.
one who points out that huge plot hole. He goes like, "They don't need the slugs. These things could kill you if they wanted to.
Right.
Every motherfucker's got one. What is
Yeah,
this
so
plan?"
why doesn't the dot just kill him? Skip the slug.
It made
So
no sense.
I'd say probably a 5 out of 10. I will say, before I give my mic up to Scott, I did look it up. All of the episodes so far, other than Boom, have been written by Russell T Davies. And it looks like the next one is called Rogue, and it's written by Kate Herron and Brioni Redman, and then the next two after that are going to be Russell T Davies again. So
Well,
we can kind of see
the two
how
after
those
that are the
compare.
season finale. So
Yes, they're Legend of Ruby Sunday and Empire of Death.
I was
So,
gonna say Boom was like the best episode.
I enjoyed The Devil's Cord the most, and then probably 73 Yards.
Devil's Court's my second favorite episode.
Devil's Cord's my first. Boom is my second.
I like the vibe of 73 Yards. I love those. I like horror mysteries, and that episode kind of creeped me out.
Yeah, it gave me the skeeves for sure.
Yeah.
The thing that I don't like about a lot of the writing from Russell T Davies is like, I hate everybody. I literally every episode I'm like,
You
hate
hate all the
you,
characters.
hate you, you're not cool, hate you.
But
Like I hated everybody in this episode except for the Doctor and Ruby.
He's
Like,
had such
Oh,
good
and Ricky.
episodes in the past. It's just
It's
he
dang.
really has. He's having some issues getting back into Doctor Who,
I guess.
and
Was it Last of the Time Lords. It's a good episode.
So Scott, what are your final thoughts?
Yeah, what do you got? for
I
us?
liked this episode better on my second viewing. I thought it was okay. I didn't hate the episode. It's not my favorite of the season by any means. In fact, I would say, yeah, the Devil's
hate
Cord and Boom are
debates.
my top two. Third,
I don't have a third.
I would still put Space Babies last. I'll just put it that way.
So Alex's third is Return of the Jedi. Got it.
Yes, it is.
But yeah, I mean, I liked the color palette of the episode. I liked
Ooh, and
the
the
commentary that they were going for. I liked the ideas behind the episode.
Right.
Like you said,
Absolutely.
execution, I don't think it was pulled off all that well, but I don't dislike the episode as much as you guys. I would give it a 6 out of 10.
Yeah.
It was a solid episode, but it's not top tier Doctor Who by any means.
I will say I do love the Russell T Davies writing. I like that sort of thing. I like the slap in the face wokeness. I just find it fun.
Yeah, I don't mind the wokeness. I don't necessarily even agree that it's like super woke. It's like
I feel like it's more like it hits you right in the face rather than being subtle. I think that's probably where he goes a little wrong, because it's okay to be quote unquote woke.
Yeah.
Where
This
I
man just has
really
no
don't think
chill.
we're using I don't think we're using that word right, and I really cringe every time we say it.
that's why I don't
Russell
have,
T.
I
Davis
just
or
don't have
woke?
this fight because like it's just such a buzzword now.
Yes.
You know,
So like
it's
I
basically
feel like he doesn't trust the audience enough to figure out what he's putting down, and so he's got to like slap warning labels on it, like this is this, this is this. It's like, buddy,
like literally
I'm
calling it
37 years old. I fucking got it. Okay.
like he literally called it being in your bubble.
Yeah, and
But do you get it?
it's
Do you get? Yeah, I need
you get
to
it
be
now?
like real fucking bad.
it's pandering to the lowest common denominator, which
He
they
must
have
think
to
we're
do sometimes.
idiots.
I mean, yeah. Tell me if you know less than 20 idiots. I definitely know at least 20 idiots. So I don't know if I think he's trying to
Put your hand up.
please, if anybody's listening to this, I apologize in advance. I think he's pandering to the majority of people.
Could be, but like we're trying to do a critique here, a review. Like give me some meat on these bones, man.
Well,
There was
usually
no
like-
subtext at all. There was no subtext at all.
This is like eating chicken wings from fucking Casey's.
Oh
There's,
god.
no, there is no fucking meat.
No, this
flavor,
is
no
like
meat, no texture, and you're gonna shit yourself for days.
I was gonna say like West Mex, but like
Well, we'll see how the next episode is, because it looks very in the same vein as like the Marie Antoinette episode. So,
Dude. Oh my god, the girl in the fireplace.
Girl in the Fireplace, that was the name.
Oh my god, yes. I love that
Oh,
episode
yeah, like-
so much.
And you can't go wrong with
We're getting-
Jonathan Groff.
We're getting furries next week.
Yeah, and everybody loves a wedding.
Have you guys seen Hamilton?
No.
Which one?
The one on
They
Disney.
play on Disney.
Not that one yet.
Jonathan Groff plays the king, and he is fantastic. He's a sassy, like, oh, really? John Adams? John Adams is going to be president when he's such a short man. I love him so fucking much.
I have the problem with Hamilton is it being lauded as historically accurate. It could not be further from historically accurate. Like,
I get
it could
that.
be a good play, but like, don't lie to me.
I do like the music.
I've heard the music is really good.
I will agree.
I need
It
to
is
watch
very-
it, but I'm just like, come on.
Soon you'll see.
Well, when you get 3 hours of free time,
Or 1.5 hours, 2 days. Break it
Is
down
it-
a little.
or you could watch it at 2 times speed.
I think that
Love
might
it.
mess with the music, Scott.
But overall,
Uh,
I
Or read
think
the synopsis in 5 minutes.
we're all pretty much in agreement that so far this season has been pretty middling.
yeah, it's mid.
Middling is
It
a
is
good word
mid.
for it. Yeah.
And
Which is really disappointing because you'd think that you'd really want to hit the ground running with a new doctor.
yes, and why they started off with Space Babies is beyond me.
I hated Space,
Space
Babies, but
Babies
not as much
haunts
as
my
Cemetery
dreams.
Yards.
But hopefully, as we get towards the season finale, things will pick up. Usually, the season finales are big, explosive, epic. So,
Well, we're
We'll see.
getting what did you say the first one was called, Michelle? The Legend of Ruby Sunday. Like,
Yes.
you know, we're gonna get some lore in that.
yes.
I maybe is she an eldritch creature? God, wouldn't that be fantastic?
She's a
I will
kaiju.
say, there was, and
Number
this
8.
is
Number 9.
conspiracy time.
Oh, to put on your
Tinfoil hats
tin-
on, everybody! Get your tinfoil hats on.
crinkle,
In the
crinkle.
background of one of the interviews that Russell T Davies was giving, there was a Doctor Who magazine that it's not an episode that's out. It's not, as far as we know, a real episode, but it had a picture of Susan Twist on it.
Oh my god! Oh
And
my
it
god,
was
you can't be
Susan
serious.
Triad. S Triad is an anagram for TARDIS.
Get the what? You cannot be serious
I
right
don't
now.
like this.
Oh my
People
god,
reach
Susan's
so
gonna
far.
Susan's gonna be the new TARDIS and they have to go inside of her.
Oh
But
my.
the TARDIS is already a lady, and they're already inside of her all the time.
So the TARDIS has
Alex
been a
didn't
lady at
know
one,
that.
like a proper lady at one point.
Alex didn't know. She's,
Yeah, but it won't
she's-
be police form, it'll be human form.
Alex, can I be real honest with you? She kind of hot.
I'm gonna need
too.
you to.
She kind of hot.
And we get that wonderful line, Doctor, did you wish really hard?
Yeah, it was so good. It was so funny.
What?
We'll
What
get to that
companion
episode
was
at
that?
some point. That was the Doctor, and that was the 11th Doctor and Amy and Rory.
Yeah, yeah. Amy was good. I know you hated her, but I love.
I love me some Amy.
And we get one of my favorite lines in all of Doctor Who in that episode. And this, we're getting into the weeds again, but it's, "Fear me, Doctor, I've killed hundreds of Time Lords." And he just says, "Fear me, I killed all of them." It was great.
Lies.
Well, he didn't know that at the time. He didn't know that
I
it was a
know.
lie at the time. He thought he had.
Fear me, Doctor, for I am the writing.
Anyways, we're going to go ahead and end this here. Thank you all so much for joining us. Michelle, Alex, Josh, thank you for joining me for this podcast.
It's been a pleasure.
I'm having a wonderful time with this. I hope you guys are as well.
I think
Uh,
Alex is being tortured slowly.
Welcome to hell.
So yeah, we'll get these. I'll try to get these episodes out on Sunday, early afternoon, somewhere like 10:30 Central Time, hopefully. We get them out about a week after the episode airs so that you are prepared for spoilers when you come in here.
This is
But
a spoiler zone.
make sure you check us out. YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Amazon
Anywhere you get your
Music.
streams.
Anywhere you get your podcasts, you can find us
All the great
probably.
places where your great podcasters hold.